to Side Hustle Rules. My name is Lou Reyes, and this is my first Saturday live stream. My first live video. It's I've done a few different videos live. This is my first one on a Saturday. I'm learning this whole system. I love learning this stuff. It's just so cool, so important. If you're in business, you got to stay on top of technology. And I've been doing this for what, 4 or 5 years now, producing videos on Over 50 TV, my other YouTube channel, and now most recently here on Side Hustle Rules. So yeah, it's a great experience, and I'm really glad that I'm with you here today, this afternoon, this Saturday. So what we're going to do is we're going to be talking about what it takes to build a multi-million-dollar business from scratch. I'm going to tell you how to do it because I've done it, and I've done it more than once. I took certain principles, what I call a formula that I used over time. Over about 5 years, I learned this formula, and I used that same formula to build two other businesses that generated multiple $1 million worth of sales. I'm about to use this same formula to build two more businesses that I know will also generate millions of dollars a year in sales. So I'm going to share my formula with you today. Now, I'm going to also, besides sharing the formula, I'll also give you some anecdotes, some things that I've learned, tell you some stories. I'll try to make it as brief as possible, but I really want to make sure that I tell you when I say something, I tell you why I'm saying it. Before we get into this whole thing, I just want to mention that I got my new 2023 Side Hustle Starter Kit. I produced it. It's now available. Now, this is a live version. If you follow my channel, I've got quite a few people that got the free version, which was a PNG version. And what I do is I outline the 8 steps that you use to start the business. Before you even launch that business, you've got to do some things. You've got to make sure that you follow certain rules that the government wants you to follow. You also got to take certain steps to get that business before you get that business off the ground. So I've got my Side Hustle Starter Kit, the free PNG version. If you want to buy what I call the video version, it's a video edition actually, you can go ahead and do that. I've got a link in the description box. And in that video version, which is out now, I walk you through, literally walk you through those steps. So I try to make it as easy as possible for you. So speaking of making it as easy as possible, let's talk about the formula to build that multi-million-dollar business. And it does start with the very first step. That step, my friends, is you should solve a problem. And if we're talking a multi-million-dollar business, we're talking about looking to solve a big problem. Now, yeah, small problems can become big problems. I want you to remember that, okay? But solving that big problem and sincerely looking to solve problems that people have, either other people, consumers, or other business owners, look to solve their problems. Do it sincerely. You got to care. You got to have empathy. When I started what I call my first multi-million-dollar business, it was a monthly magazine is what I created, but it started because I wanted to help other business owners find a way to advertise their business. And what I knew is that we small business guys, we didn't have a lot of money. We don't have a lot of money. We got to market our business. We want to market and build that brand. But how do we market it? So I created a little flyer. There's 11 inches by 17. And on that, I put coupons on that. I designed coupons. I was a graphic designer. That was my business. I was a graphic design person who designed for small business owners. Created this 11 by 17, put coupons on it, walked door to door in my neighborhood to businesses. And I said, hey, I'm sending this out. I'm mailing it out to 10,000 people was my circulation at the time. Would you like to buy an ad? It was like $195. Sold it out. That the money I generated paid for the mailing. I mailed it out to 10,000 businesses, and I started getting in business. And I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. So I really cared about the folks I was working with, and I knew if I helped them and I could help myself, and together we could market our business. And that thing grew. It grew from one small little 11 by 17 flyer to something that became a chain of business-to-business magazines over time. Over the course of about 3 years, I really started building it. It accelerated into the going into the fourth and fifth year, and it really did very, very well. But I wanted to solve a problem. I cared about the people. I cared about helping them. And because I had empathy and they saw it in my eyes when I went out there and I would talk to them, I sat down, they saw it. Solve that big problem. Have that empathy. Be sincere. If you're greedy, it ain't going to work, my friends. It doesn't work. And actually, if you're greedy, all you're going to end up having is an empty business, or I would have had an empty flyer, no sales. Step number two of my formula, plan. You got to plan. And I think that with a good plan, you can launch a business anytime. I know there's folks out there that have written me, commented on my Over 50 TV channel, commented here on Side Hustle Rules and said, hey, Lou, don't you know we're going into a recession? Why are you encouraging people to start a business? Well, you know what? I know this. The best time to act is when others won't act or can't act. And I know that. I started my first business during a period that was not a good economic period. I started that business, and that business grew. But I didn't let the economic times dissuade me or hold me back. I just said, I'm going to go ahead and do this. I've got a good plan. I know this can work, and it did work. So you got to plan ahead. I've got in my new Side Hustle, my 2023 Side Hustle Rules starter kit, in the video edition, I've got a chapter on creating a lean business plan, which is a one-pager you can create. It really is just a short little thing, man. But if you follow that lean business plan, which is what I did, created a one-page plan, followed it, and it really did work for me. So plan ahead, use the lean business plan model. Got a couple samples in that Side Hustle starter kit that you can check out in the video edition. Also, number three, it's important to set bold goals. Don't be shy about it. It's okay. It's okay to have aspirations. It's okay to say, you know what, I'm ambitious. I'm reading a book on Abraham Lincoln. And the one thing about old Abe that they say in this book was that the guy was humble, but he had ambitions, and he wasn't shy about letting people know he had ambitions. And he went from, as we know, from somebody who was in the state legislature to somebody who became president of the U.S. I'm only using that example to say it's okay to be ambitious. It's okay to have bold plans. You're not going to be successful if you don't have bold plans. If you're not going to go ahead and say, you know what, I'm going to hit that goal. I started my publication, my little flyer, and I said, you know what, I just want to generate enough money so I can get my advertising out, to advertise my business, my graphic design business. But then I adjusted my plan and said, you know what, this is working. Now I'm going to build a magazine. Then I'm going to build a chain of magazines, a national chain of magazines. That was always my goal, is to build other businesses. But bold plans, my friends, bold goals rather. Number 4, you can have bold plans. You can have them. And like every small business owner, including myself, man, I'm going to tell you, it is like you fear sometimes. You just have this fear. Is this going to really work out for me? Is this going to work out? What if it fails? Everybody's going to laugh at me. My wife's going to be PO'd at me. My husband's going to say, what the heck are you doing? What the hell are you doing? But let me tell you a story. I had an opportunity to sit with the gentleman, the guy that founded Office Max. I went to lunch with him. Mike Foyer is his name. And I remember driving with Mike. He's driving his car, super intense dude, driving his car, and he's driving his Jag. And I look at him, I say, Mike, what motivates you? You got these 3. He only had 3 Office Max stores when I met him, by the way. So what's motivating you? You're talking about all this big stuff you're going to do. He told me, I'm going to build $1 billion company, Lou, $1 billion. And inside my head, I'm thinking, yeah, man, yeah, you're going to do that. Sure, you're going to do it, Mike. But what motivates you? And he said, fear of failure. Those 3 words, fear of failure. He said, I don't want to fail. I want to win. And you know what? He built I don't know if it was multi, but he built $1 billion company. And he built it because he didn't want to fail. He was going to persevere, and whatever it took, he was going to do it. Because that fear of failure drove him. That fear of failure can drive you too. Don't let it hold you back. Persevere. Lord knows I went through a hell of a lot of stuff in my life, and it's certainly in business, but I never quit. And I'm here today as a testament to not quitting, to persevering. Another thing, that was number 4. Number 5. Number 5 is important. Create systems. And that was something that I really thought I was, halfway good at doing, was I would just sit and look and say, okay, this is what we're doing. At the point where we were building this magazine, the only way I knew I could grow it and build a chain is if I created systems. So I looked at every single thing I was doing. And I said, okay, the first thing we're doing is we have this format. We're filling it up with ads, hopefully. We're going to fill it up with articles for sure. And what we're going to do is we're going to distribute it. We're going to mail it out. So I created a system. I had a pod, or what I called a pod, a group of graphic designers who worked full time for me. As we built the business, I was able to hire people like that. I had a pod, group of graphic designers, and they did all the design work. And I created a format that I copied off of USA Today. I saw how they laid out their paper. And I'm like, oh man, that's a great idea. So I used their format, had my graphic designers follow this format, and it cut my production time just by creating that system. Then I also had ads. I created a system with advertisements, with the display ads and any ad that was coming in, sponsorships, created systems, put it all together with sales. And it made it a very efficient operation. But you create systems by looking at every step of your business and deciding, how can I do this in the most efficient way possible? The next thing I did, and it kind of goes with creating a system, is you've got to build that team. You got to build a team of good people. And I was always looking at the people that I had. I said, if you couldn't cut it, you couldn't stay. But if you could cut it, if you could produce, if you cared about this business as much as I cared, and I know most people aren't going to care as much as I cared, but if you care about it at least half as much as me, I was okay with that. And by the way, and now that I got my microphone here, I'm hoping you can hear me. But you got to care. You got to care about your business, and you got to care about every single thing that you're doing. So let's go on. Dump the losers. That's something that I always said. Any program, anything that you're doing that's not working out, dump it. You got to get rid of it. You got to move it to the side. Dump those losing programs. You got to do that because that's the only way to be successful. Don't waste your time on things that aren't working. And you can, if you measure them properly, you're going to find that out. Learn to sell. You know what? That's one thing I did. I was not a salesperson starting out. I couldn't even talk to people before I started my businesses. I couldn't talk to people, but I learned to sell. I learned to sell my ideas, learned to sell my concepts. That's how you build a business, is learning to sell. Now, I also do something that I recommend is you got to keep your eye on the market, keep your eye on the ball. When I say this, I mean keeping your eye on what's going on around you in this whole business world. And this whole thing is so important to know and to understand. We see what's going on now with a lot of disruptions that's going to happen because of AI. And there are people out there who I know who are fearful of how AI is going to disrupt their particular business. I know a person who actually is a headhunter for a company. She wants to leave. She said, Lou, I want to start with, work. She works with a lot of architects, a lot of people in that field. But now we're hearing that AI could disrupt that field completely. So now she's having to rethink what she's doing. So keep on top of the market. Know what's going on in the market. Now, another thing I think is important, strategic partnerships. I built them all the time. That was one of the keys to my whole success as a business owner, was building strategic partnerships. I partnered with radio stations. I partnered with TV stations. I had a media property. They wanted to work with me. So I partner with them. I also partner now with other YouTubers. I partner with other business owners. I partner with venues where I can hold events at, where I can build an audience. You find those strategic partnerships, companies that you can work with. I just did a video with a woman who has a vintage t-shirt company. It's a really successful business. In terms of her sales, she's doing quite well, and I believe she's pretty profitable. But what she's doing is extremely smart, extremely intelligent. She's looking for people that she can basically do strategic partnerships with, and she's doing quite well, and she's using that to build her business. Now, another thing that I recommend is leveraging your assets, and it kind of goes along with strategic partnerships. If you've got a way to help others and you can do it so it's not costly to you or too costly to you. The benefits can outweigh the cost. Look for ways that you can leverage your assets. And let me just kind of give you an example here. I produce videos on Over 50 TV and Side Hustle Rules. I have a consulting business. I have some other business interests. You know what I do is if I can help someone, I do it. And I leverage my assets to help others. And I know maybe eventually it'll come back and help me. Maybe it won't, but it doesn't matter. I leverage what I have. If I can help you, if I can help someone, I do it. If I can't, I let them know I can't. But I leverage my assets, and that's what I call it what I mean by when I say, helping others is going to help you. And if it doesn't help you, you know what? It's going to help somebody else, and they're going to remember, and they're going to tell someone else. So you leverage your assets to help others. So important. Other thing I do, number 12, this is also what I found to be very helpful to me, is to find yourself a mentor. I don't understand how people can go into business with no business experience whatsoever, don't want to hear from anyone else, think I'm going to plow ahead and do it. They do that. And then eventually what ends up happening is eventually what they do is they realize, I got to find someone I can talk to. I got to find someone who knows this more or better than I do. I worked with a guy that called me up. He has a YouTube channel. And as soon as I saw his YouTube channel, I'm thinking, man, this is not, I don't know. I don't see how this is going to work. And I worked with him for a couple times. We did some videos together. And eventually I just said, you know what? I had him on a Zoom call, and I said, you know what? I don't think this is going to work out for you. I think you need to make some tweaks, some adjustments. And he just said, no, I don't need to do that. I don't need to do it. Well, now I can tell you, now his YouTube channel is basically, I don't know that I would say it's defunct. It's still up, but it's not going or growing, and he's not posting videos because, he wasn't getting views. And he's posted a few videos saying, I'm going to keep plowing ahead. I'm going to keep doing this, even though no one's watching my channel. But from what I saw last, he hasn't posted in a few months. But listen to other folks, be willing to ask for help, find yourself a mentor. Now, I will say this to you, lots of times you're going to find a mentor, and you're going to have to pay that mentor. And that's just how it goes. You're gonna have to pay them. If you want to get somebody who really knows accounting, find a mentor who you can talk to. Find a mentor who can understand marketing. Find somebody who can understand how to start a business. Find someone who can help you to grow your business. Find that mentor. Now, number 13 is another part of this whole formula, which I believe is so critical. Is I think you got to live by the golden rule. And I know some people out there are going to be saying, well, it's not. What do you mean the golden rule? Well, golden rule is treat others like you want to be treated. And what I found in business is you want to have empathy. You want to respect others. You want to make sure that others respect you as well. But you get respect, I think anyway, you get respect by demonstrating respect. Treat others like the way you want to be treated, because it gets around. Former business partner I had a horrible reputation. Horrible. He didn't treat people well. He was always out for himself, and people saw right through him. And it really impacted me, because I'd go to meetings and they'd say, well, thank God you're here, that he's so-and-so's not here, because all he cares about is the sale. And he would always do this to me, Lou, it's all about the sale. It's all about the sale. He didn't care what he was doing to someone. He could care less about how they were, what kind of benefit they were getting, or no benefit they were getting. All he wanted was the sale. Now he's found, the Lord. Now he's a holy person after years and years and years. I don't know what transformed him, but finally he's at least got some semblance of empathy for folks. But the point is, if you live by the golden rule, if you take care of others, you treat them the way you want to be treated, it will help you. And you can think what is part of business is this, but I can tell you from working with hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of people over the years, The people that treated others well, that were respectful, they were the ones who always benefited. But those folks who didn't follow that rule, who didn't give a damn about how they treated people, they did not find success. And I can give you example after example of people who I was partners with, people who worked for me. They only cared about themselves. They were people who were either, selfish or whatever. I could give you some words to describe them, but they didn't care. And you know what? They end up with nothing. And I can point them out and I can tell you the people that I know who were like that, who were selfish, who didn't care, who were basically thieves, you know, whether they stole money, whether they stole customers, or whether they just stole people's time, they didn't benefit. Not any of them. And again, there were quite a few that I've seen over the years, and not necessarily working for me or with me, but others I've seen. Follow that golden rule. Now, another point here, point number 14, let's just say that point number 14 here of my formula is this. One of the key ingredients to success is getting everybody on board. And I said this kind of in the beginning, I believe. Hopefully you could hear me. I know my mic wasn't in front of me, but it wasn't. But anyways, you got to get everyone on board. When I talk to somebody, they come to me and they want advice. I give a lot of I'm a consultant, a business consultant, as well as running my channels and doing some other business things. But one thing, I'm a consultant. So I talk to people and they'll ask me a question. Can you tell me I want to start this business? They give me their business plan. We talk about it, but I always invariably say, after listening to them, is, what does your wife think? What does your husband think? What does your significant other person think? What does your family think about your this idea? If they're not on board, you're not going to be successful. I've never seen a person successful who didn't have the backing, the support of their family. A story that I want to share with you is, I had a really good friend of mine. His father had patents. His father was like one of those I think he was kind of like a mad scientist. I don't know. But my friend was kind of a chip off the old block. I remember going down his basement. He's showing me all this stuff that he was doing. This business that he was not business, but these projects he was working on. And I was totally amazed, blown away by the technology, the stuff that he was doing. And he told me, Lou, I want to start this particular business. And I remember him telling me that. And I remember thinking, I was so proud of him. I'm like, wow, man, you were really going to dive into this. I'm so happy for you. But his wife wasn't supporting his idea. She wasn't supporting him. She really didn't care. But he went ahead, he started the business, and a problem arose. And immediately, the problem was a serious problem with his business. And it could have been overcome, I believe. But he didn't have that support of his wife. And she just came down on him and came down hard and kept doing it all the time. And eventually he's got all this pressure in this business that he loved and he was so excited about. I remember going to one of his parties where his employees were there. And I was like, wow, man, you're building this company. This is exciting. But when this happened, when he had that unfortunate situation in the business, and his wife was also on him, just putting pressure on him, he eventually just gave up. Just gave up and said, okay, I'm just going to close this thing. And that's what his wife wanted, because she never supported him. Even though his father supported him and others that I know supported him, but that significant person in his life didn't care, didn't support him, and he ended up closing that business. And it's an extremely sad thing in this world. You start out, there's people that don't even want to start a business, but he started one. He jumped in there. I mean, he planned, he got the financing, he had a mentor. And like I had a mentor, and my mentor I actually got from him, because he was telling me about this guy that knew a lot. Harry Farr was this gentleman's name. Anyways, if you don't have that support of that family, if you don't have the support of your family, it's very difficult to move ahead. It's just like anything else you're doing. If you decide in something big in your life, you want to buy a new car, a house, or whatever, if your family member doesn't support you, it's not going to work out. So that is, in essence, what it takes to build a multi-million-dollar business from scratch. It does start with caring about solving a problem. It cares about sincerely wanting to solve a problem. and then devoting all your energy, all your time into doing it. I have started these businesses. I didn't mention this, but I put in huge amount of time. I've got 2 businesses now that I'm launching. They dovetail, so they work together. It's not like I'm starting 2 separate businesses, but they are different, separate, but they do complement each other. But the way that you build these businesses is you care about solving problems for others. And once you can figure that out, and you figure out what the problem is, you determine how you're going to solve the problem, then you can move ahead, then you start your planning, and then you do all the other steps that I talked about here. So what I strongly recommend to each and every one of you out there is start with solving a problem, and then you follow all the other steps in this formula that I've talked about. So that's all I got for you today. I just want to remind you that, and hopefully you heard it again. I apologize for this mic not being where I thought it was going to be. I don't know if you could hear it or not, but regardless, I'm saying to you that I do have my brand new 2023 Side Hustle Starter Kit video edition. It's out there to walk you through the 8 steps that you need to take before you can launch your business. Take that 2023 Side Hustle Starter Kit video edition, use that, follow those steps, and then this video here, follow these steps. If you have any questions, you are welcome to contact me. I'd love to talk to you. I get back to people as fast as I can when they have a comment. I mentioned I have a consulting business as well. So think about that. If you are someone who needs some one-on-one, I'm here for you most of the time. If I can't help you, I'll let you know that. Again, I have empathy too. I want to make sure you get value. I want to make sure that you get someone who knows what they're doing. And if I can't help you, maybe I can steer you to somebody who can. That's all I have for you today. As I said, if you have any questions, please feel free to send me that message. Have a great day, everybody. Come on.